Hi, everyone. If you're filing in to the webinar room, we're going to get started in a couple minutes. We just want to make sure everyone gets the chance to get into the Zoom room. So bear with us, and we will begin in about 2 minutes. So help yourself to some coffee or other beverage, and we'll be right back. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I am Natalie McKnight, and I'm thrilled that you're here today to do an online open house Q&A session with us. I wanted to start out by saying welcome, of course, and congratulations for being accepted to Boston University. This was the most competitive year ever for admission to Boston University, so you should feel very, very proud of yourselves. We had over 80,000 applications for an incoming class of 3,100, so pretty staggering number, and admissions accepted only 14% of its applications. So again, congratulations, and we're thrilled that you are here today with us to find out a little bit about the College of General Studies. So what I want to do is just give you kind of a good sense of some of the attributes of the College of General Studies and Boston University, and how the College of General Studies, or CGS, fits into a 4-year degree program at Boston University. Obviously, we want to answer your questions, and we want to try to take some of the stress out of the situation, because we know it is stressful. I've been through it a couple times with my own children, and I've been through it many, many times as a professor and as an administrator. So I realize it can be a challenging time, but it can also be a lot of fun. And we hope that you'll come out of this feeling like it's more fun and obviously very informative too. So what I'm going to do is do a brief presentation, and at the end, I'm going to introduce you to the panelists we have here today. And we have some other administrators, some faculty, some students, a wonderful panel, and they're here to answer your questions. So after my presentation, if you have your cursor around the bottom of your screen, you'll see your Zoom webinar toolbar, and there's like a little Q&A section. Just click on the Q&A. You can type in your questions, and we will handle your questions until the end of the hour and get different panelists to answer your questions. So to start out, I just want to give you some nuts and bolts about BU and the College of General Studies. So Boston University is the 4th largest private university in the country, so pretty big, right? About 34,000 students total, about 16,000 undergraduates, 16 schools and colleges, and over 300,000 living alumni. I just want to pause on that number for a second, because that's an amazing network to tap into, both while you're here as a student and also after you graduate. Because I have the great privilege of traveling all over the globe, meeting with alums, and I find them fiercely loyal to BU and really eager to connect to current students, recent graduates, for mentorships, internships, helping with job hunts, et cetera, et cetera. So consider that one of the wonderful resources of BU, that huge alumni network that you can tap into. We're also a research university, and what that means is that our faculty, in addition to being dedicated to teaching and giving wonderful lectures and discussions in the classroom, they're also doing research in their various disciplinary areas and pushing out the boundaries of knowledge in those disciplines. And that means that the information that they bring into the class is fresh, right up to date. It also means that they can open up opportunities for undergraduates to partner with them on research projects that lead to a conference paper, a journal article, a book publication. So we have many of these paid undergraduate research projects that are even freshmen and sophomore students get to do with faculty while they're with us. That's also a wonderful resource. I'll say a few more words about that later. So these faculty are doing research in their disciplines. They're award winners of all kinds: Nobel, Pulitzer, National Book Award winners, Guggenheim, and Fulbright scholars, et cetera, which again, that's a fantastic atmosphere to learn in, to be able to study with, perhaps even research with faculty of that caliber. We're all obviously internationally renowned. We're ranked number 8 among top US colleges for international students. We're ranked number 27 in terms of best US colleges by the Wall Street Journal and Times Higher Ed, and ranked number 13 for most employable graduates. That's another number I like to hover over because that's really significant, right? We all want to make sure that when you finish your 4-year degree, people want to hire you. And people worldwide love to hire Boston University students because they find them well educated. They have the kind of skills that they need to work well in the kind of global marketplace, and they have the kind of basic skills that enable them to adapt. And everyone needs to be able to adapt these days, as the last 2 years have shown us, particularly dramatically. We're also very competitive, but I already gave you those stats, so I won't go over that. And as for the College of General Studies, we're a 2-year general education program that fits into a 4-year degree at Boston University. So we front load a lot of the general education requirements that all Boston University students have to have. And we approach those requirements in a really unique way that I'm going to kind of parse out for you here for a second. I also want to just put an asterisk on that 2-year because we do offer a 4-year interdisciplinary minor in interdisciplinary studies for students who are interested in that. So we might be able to get to more of that in the Q&A session. What we like to say about ourselves is that we're like a small private liberal arts college within a large Research One urban university. So you really get the best of both worlds. You get all those resources of a Research One university in a great city, but you get that tight-knit community of a small liberal arts college as well. So in order to give you a sense of what's really unique and impactful and attractive about the College of General Studies, I've broken our characteristics down into a top 5 list. And I'm going to share that top 5 list with you right now, starting with number 5 and working down to 1, beginning with, we offer students a gap semester. So our students do not start in September, they start in January. They do January to May here in Boston on our Charles River campus. And then most of them, about 95% of them, go to London for their second semester in the summer of their first year, and they complete their first year at BU in London. About 5% of them choose to stay in New England to complete their first year at Boston University here, and that's fine. But most of them really do want to do the London experience, which I'll talk about in a minute. So this gap semester really provides students with wonderful opportunities. They pursue internships. They work on jobs to save up money for college. They take courses to explore a major. Sometimes they do service learning projects. They travel. A few students somehow manage to do everything I just mentioned, and I don't know quite how they managed to pull that off. But invariably, the students find that gap semester really enriching. It's a great resume builder, and they're refreshed when they start their first year at Boston University. And we were finding that students weren't particularly refreshed when they started their first year of university education in September, because they've just been through that kind of K through 12 rat race. The senior year, junior and senior year, exhausting, right? Students were kind of finishing up their senior year exhausted and then going into, back to school in the fall, as they've been doing for 13 years, and not bringing the kind of excitement we'd want to see. So this gap semester has turned out to be, a real benefit for the students, and again, really helps them kind of discern some of the pathways they might want to take in terms of majors, minors, extracurriculars, et cetera, et cetera. And you can check out, we've got a lot of great gap semester stories from our students that are on our website. So please check those out. Number 4 in our top 10 list is that we have this team system. And so we bring students in and we put them on teams of about 80 students who share the same 3 faculty members for the first 2 semesters of the first year, and then they're on a different team for 2 semesters in their second year at Boston University. And the fact that these 80 students share the same faculty at CGS in their first year really is like a socially and intellectually cohesive system. It helps the students to form friendships because they have some shared classes together, helps them to form study groups, and it also helps them to get to know their faculty well because they have faculty for 2 semesters in a row. Now, if the student needs to change teams for scheduling reasons, that's fine, that happens, but most of them stay on the same team. And that really builds, a great relationship and a rapport between the faculty and students, and again, among the students. But that team system also enables the faculty to make connections among their courses. And this really doesn't happen anywhere else in the country that I know of. So because the 3 faculty on the team share the same students 2 semesters, the faculty meet once a week to have a discussion about how the students are doing, who might need an extra challenge, but also they talk about what's happening in each of their courses so they can be making connections among the topics in their courses, these interdisciplinary connections, so that their courses are reinforcing one another. And this is a wonderful way to learn. In fact, I've been here for 32 years. I think it's the best way to learn because when you have your courses that are just isolated and have nothing to do one another, it's hard for the brain to process that and to store it and to be able to retrieve that information later. But when your humanities course material is reflected in your social science course material, is also reflected in your rhetoric course material, and those would be the courses in the first 2 semesters at BU at CGS. They really, the information, the learning really gels. It also encourages interdisciplinary projects. So we ask students to draw connections among their courses and their papers and other kind of assignments, oral reports, things like that. And then it also enables them to do the interdisciplinary capstone project in their sophomore year, at the end of their sophomore year, where they draw on this interdisciplinary knowledge to solve real world problems. And I think that's a very important project. It's a project where we have a national, in fact, international reputation for, because it's really exactly what employers are looking for when they hire, is students who can draw from their knowledge, work collaboratively together in groups to solve real world problems. So number 3 on our top 5 list is that we have experiential learning that is part of the curriculum both in the first year and in the second year. So in the first year, as part of the credit bearing load of the classes, as part of the contact hours of the classes, we have students going out to museums, historic sites, plays, concerts, etc., with the faculty, and that extends the learning. And I really feel like that physical experience of being on hand in front of some of the things you're studying, again, helps the students to really learn and remember what they've learned and to stay really engaged in what they're learning. So we do this experiential learning both in Boston when students are with us and even more so in London or in the New England area if the students choose to stay in New England instead of going to London for their summer semester. We also have many, many undergraduate research projects, which I was mentioning earlier. And this is a picture of one of our undergraduate researchers who did, I think it was 8 different projects in his 4 years at BU. These are paid projects where the student gets to work one-on-one with a faculty member in their area of research interest. And that's a great way for a student to discern whether this is a career path that they might be interested in. Maybe leads to a conference presentation or publication as an undergraduate, which really helps them find jobs, internships, graduate school, etc. And then in the sophomore year, the capstone project, again, is very experiential. So that really extends the classroom learning in a way that makes the education extremely impactful. So number 2 on my top 5 list is, as you've already gathered, we give students an opportunity to study abroad in their first year of college, which you don't find everywhere. So again, many of our students, most of them, about 95%, choose to do their second semester with us, and this is in the summer of their first year in London. We'll be sending over about 600 from this summer. And then about 5% choose to stay in New England and explore the New England area with their faculty, again, as part of the curriculum. So students find this so transformative and so impactful that many go on to do a second or third abroad experience in their 4 years at BU. And that's really important because, first of all, they just love the experience. It's exciting. It is transformative, but it also, again, is a good resume builder because employers increasingly want to see that global experience. We are very fortunate today to have on our panel a student who did exactly what I just said, did the summer in London, and then went back for another abroad experience. So we can hear a little bit more about that from her in just a few minutes. So, and that brings us to, and we can have a little drum roll here. I'm going to do a kind of pathetic little drum roll in my lap, but you can maybe do a better one at home. The number one reason why I think that CGS might be right for you and what makes us distinctive and really attractive and a really impactful learning experience is that we offer this stimulating interdisciplinary curriculum, which we have worked out intensely, collaboratively with our professors here. And our curriculum manages to accomplish many, many things. First of all, as I mentioned before, it encourages faculty and students to make connections among their courses, which is great, again, because the courses are reinforcing one another. But while they're doing that, it's also training students to think in an interdisciplinary fashion, which I think is crucial. Employers, educators, we're all talking about the importance of being able to think critically, but not many people are drilling down into what does that actually mean. Well, I'll tell you one thing I think it means, and that is thinking critically means knowing to draw from multiple disciplines and multiple perspectives when dealing with an issue, when learning about a topic, when problem solving. And that's one of the things we're working on with our students. They really develop that approach to learning and that problem solving technique, which really plays out for them very well, no matter what their major is or what career path that they go into. Our curriculum also answers the question, what should an educated adult know and be able to do at this point in history? And not all curricula do that. We really want our students to go out into the world without embarrassing gaps in knowledge, and I would imagine you probably want the same thing. Our curriculum has also been designed to fulfill BU's hub general education requirements. So as I mentioned a few minutes ago, all BU students, no matter what college they start in, have the same general education requirements. We call those requirements the hub. And it's an attempt to make sure every BU student has that breadth of knowledge that everyone needs as an educated adult and that will enable them to be prepared for any field that they go into. Well, we've designed our curriculum to meet so that every single one of our classes meets 3 hub requirements per class, and that's the maximum a regular class can take or can offer at Boston University, so that every single one of our classes has 3 hub requirements tied to it, and that makes us a very efficient way of handling Boston University's hub requirements, while it's also a very impactful one. Now, I know there's a lot of text on this screen. I'm not going to read it all to you, but this just gives you a quick snapshot, and you could see this on our website too, of year 1 at CGS. And you'll see in semester 1, typically students would take 3 classes with us, an elective toward their major. And if they don't know what their major is going to be, they just start exploring one, but they may have already started exploring one in the gap semester, as I said a few minutes ago. And these courses were designed to introduce them to these disciplines, develop skills in these disciplines, while also making sure that the 3 courses connect at certain key points as they are looking at 6 tipping points in world history. And while they're doing it, so because they have those connections, they can do these interdisciplinary projects together, select trips, experiential opportunities that really reinforce all the courses. And while they're doing that, if you can see here, every single one of these courses is taking care of 3 hub capacities, both in semester 1 and semester 2. So then in the second year, the 3 courses of social science, humanities, and natural science, there's not rhetoric in the sophomore year. And again, each semester, students have at least 1 elective toward their major. But most students have more than 1 elective toward their major in the sophomore year because we allow students to drop 1 humanities or 1 social science over the course of the sophomore year. So most students are having usually 2 electives toward their major in both semesters of their sophomore year and at least 1 in their freshman year. So most students finish with us having taken care of most of their hub capacities, their general education requirements, and having had at least 5 courses towards their major, so that students are not behind when they transition into the college of their choice for their major. So this, again, there's a lot of writing on here, but these are on our website too, under the class page. So I just want to focus on 2 of these pathways. We've worked out pathways from CGS to any major at Boston University. This one is to a Questrom School of Business major, and it shows what students might take in each semester that they're with us in the gap semester, in a freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, senior, etc., so that they complete their degree in 4 years. That is our goal. That I'm sure would be your goal too. And so we've worked this out for every major, so there's no problem with starting at CGS and doing our curriculum and completing a major in any other area in 4 years. So check out those pathways. Here's one for biology. Unfortunately, we have a biology major with us today who can reflect on her pathway as well. And you know, if you wanted to do pre-med, this might be a pathway that you would take as well. And again, completely possible to start at CGS, do a bio pre-med major, and complete your degree in 4 years. So I also want to say that it's not just about completing requirements. Our education, our curriculum was designed to really meet what employers are looking for. So I looked all the time at surveys of employers worldwide and what are they looking for when they hire. And I think many incoming students make the mistake of thinking that employers are going to be most interested in what they major in, and that's not true. Only about 18% of employers say that they're most interested in the major, which leaves, you know, so 80% or more are really interested in the broad-based skills and knowledge, critical thinking skills, communication skills, and collaboration skills, because employers worldwide realize that there's only so much you can learn about a job through your education. So much of a job and the culture of a job is going to have to be learned on the job. So they want to hire people who are smart and adaptable and can teach themselves and collaborate with others and do problem solving, because those are the kind of folks who will be able to push you know, that business, that culture forward. But I'm talking a lot about requirements and I'm talking a lot about jobs. And those are obviously key things that a college needs to be thinking of when it's educating students. But of course, education is not just about requirements and it's not just about jobs. It's about building a life. And we certainly hope we get to share that life with you, a life that is rich and purposeful and full of many, many different things that you've learned to enjoy along with your very diverse peers. So thank you for listening to all of that. Before we move on to our panel and have everyone introduce themselves, I want to point out that we have some upcoming Dean's Host chats. They're all online. You can register for them through your MyBU portal. We have one on April 4th, one on April 13th, and one on April 19th. The first 2 are at 7 p.m. The April 19th one is at 4 p.m. And these would give you a chance to talk to students. Dean's Hosts are students who've been through our program or are currently in our program, and that gives you more of a chance to do Q&A. So I'm going to stop sharing so that we can do our own Q&A, and hopefully you can see now that I'm not just here in isolation. I've got lots of friends here in the Zoom room with us, and I'm going to have them introduce themselves. So I'll just call your names out and then just say a few words about yourself, and then we'll click on the Q&A and see what our questions are. So let's start with Dean Stacy Godnick. Stacy.
Hi, everybody. Nice to meet you. My name is Stacy Godnick. I am the Associate Dean for Student Academic Life at the College of General Studies. Let's see, I've been at the university in my 33rd year. I've been here a long time. I'm originally from New Jersey, and I just am so pleased to have the opportunity to share with you and to answer all of your questions, to share with you what my experience has been working with students like yourselves over the several decades I've been here. It's a great place.
Agreed. Thanks, Stacy. How about Professor John Mackey?
Thanks, Natalie. I'm John Mackey. I'm the chair of the Social Sciences Division here at the College of General Studies in my 18th year here, and originally from Pennsylvania. I would be delighted to answer any questions anyone has about academics, or in addition about the faculty and residence program, because I'm also a member of that program here at BU.
Thank you, John. And how about Matt Bay, one of our advisors?
Hi, folks.
Sorry.
Oh, thank you. My name is Matt Bay. As Dean McKnight said, I am one of the academic advisors here at the College of General Studies and also an alum of the CGS program at BU. In fact, I'm double terrier, so I did my master's here as well through Wheelock College of Education, Human Development. Super excited to answer your questions today. I've also been at the university for, gosh, almost 8 years now. So I've been here for quite a while as student, staff, and yeah, welcome and congratulations.
Thanks, Matt. And we also have Elise Fisher with us today from admissions. Thanks, Elise.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Hi, everyone. My name is Elise Fisher. I'm a senior assistant director on the Board of Admissions here at BU. Congrats once again. I am also a very proud CGS and BU alum and have been with the university for about 9 years as a professional in the admissions office now. So welcome, and please send us any and all questions you have.
Wonderful. Thanks, Elise. And we have Ailey Cheng with us today. Thanks, Ailey.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ailey. I'm a senior at BU now. I'm a public relations major and a political science minor. I was a part of the class of 2020 here at CGS, and I continued into the College of Communication. I participated in the London summer program, and I went to London again last semester as part of the London internship program. So you could tell that I loved it. Happy to answer any questions, and congratulations.
Thanks, Ailey. And next, Dina Chiampa.
Hi, everybody. My name's Dina. I'm a senior, just like Ailey. I also started in January 2019 and was able to go to London that summer. And I am currently in the College of Arts and Sciences studying environmental analysis and policy in the joint master's bachelor's program. And I'm from Foxborough, Massachusetts. And yeah, excited to answer all your questions.
Thanks, Dina. And then we also have Jasmine Alcazar here. Jasmine.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jasmine. I'm studying biology with a specialization in cellular biology, molecular biology, and genetics in the College of Arts and Sciences. I continued into the College of Arts and Sciences after last spring when I completed my time in CGS. I'm a Dean's Host e-board member at CGS, a peer mentor at CGS. I'm also a research assistant in the Mullen Evolutionary Genomics Lab, and I'm the president of BU Knitting Club. I'm really excited to answer all your questions.
Thanks. Wow, great knitting club. All right, thank you all for being here. It's a fantastic panel. So I'm going to take a look at these questions now. First one, how many courses will students get to take within their major during the first 2 years? Are they on par academically with their peers in the university, not in CGS in year 3? Oh yeah, so yeah. Let's give that one to Stacy Godnick. Oh, Stacy is on mute.
I know, I got it. I knew I was going to do that. So, right. So basically, you will take, by the time you are a junior, you will have taken 5 or 6 courses towards your major. Sometimes students come knowing what they want to major and get started right away. Many students come not knowing. Many students come toggling between a couple. So when you work with your CGS advisor, who you will connect with in beginning of June, you start in January, but we connect with you right away in June. that's when we'll start talking about what types of courses you may want to take when you start at BU, maybe in the gap semester, as Dean McKnight said. So you are absolutely on par course-wise, credit-wise, and actually you're ahead when it comes to the general education requirement. I don't want to get too far in the weeds, but let me just say that as a general education requirement, all BU students have to fulfill 26 units over the course of 4 years. When you're done with the College of General Studies, you will probably have about 22, 23 of them.
Awesome. Thanks, Stacy. And I think this next one's also an advising question. I'm going to pitch this one to Matt Bay then. Because we are not taking the typical general requirement courses, will credits from AP exams be accepted or at all useful?
Great question. AP exams are accepted for CGS students just as they are for the rest of the BU schools and colleges. So that is that there's no difference in the way that AP credits are evaluated for folks who are joining our program in January. The specifics of that I'm hesitant to get into because there's a lot of detail there. But speaking to what Dean Godnick mentioned, come meet with us in June, and we can talk about what AP exams you've already taken, what AP exams you're waiting for scores on, and talk about, in more depth what that could equate to, and then map out your plan from there.
Thank you, Matt. Yeah, and just to elaborate on that for a second. So when I was showing how many elective students tend to have, typically with us, that wasn't showing if you AP'd out of one of our classes. So most of our students do have 5 at least electives towards their major, but if they AP'd out, they might have 6. If they took something in the gap, they might have 7. So it varies, but 5 would be minimum. So would this curriculum be helpful to students who plan to apply to medical school? So that's a good one. How about Jasmine? I don't know if you're actually applying to medical school, but you're in a field that certainly relates to that. So maybe you can speak to that.
Yes, definitely. I'm not planning on going to medical school. However, many of my peers in the same major are, so I'm taking the same pre-med classes basically. I would say that it's right on par with the rest of the students. I felt kind of ahead of the game after I came out of CGS and continued into the College of Arts and Sciences. Like Dean Godnick was saying, I basically completed all my hub units. I was in the same general required classes for my major. As I was still in CGS, I took chemistry, organic chemistry. Now I'm taking physics as a junior, like everyone else who maybe started in the College of Arts and Sciences right from freshman year. So I think that it's completely possible. A lot of my friends are planning on going to medical school and started in CGS. And I actually think it kind of puts a load off of thinking about those general requirements hub units as well.
Thanks, Jasmine. And this is a related question I think I'm going to pitch to Stacy, and it's about the CGS curriculum, particularly vis-a-vis biology. So can students choose to do the CGS curriculum, or are classes such as biology required of all CGS students?
Yeah, great question. Our curriculum has biology, natural sciences in the biology and ecology in the second year, and it is required. What we do allow for the students who are majoring in a STEM area, our first biology course actually applies towards those majors, and our second biology course we do for those students is allow them to replace it to fulfill our requirement, and then to also apply that course toward the major. I'm sure Jasmine, Dina probably might have done that as well. So we work with you to make sure that you get as much utility out of the courses that you're taking with us and for your major.
Thanks, Stacy. And this one I'm going to pitch to Matt. So you could elaborate a little bit, Matt. Are we allowed to take? It just moved. Are we allowed to take elective classes in other colleges at BU? I'm just going to say a quick yes, absolutely. In fact, you have to, and then hand it off to Matt.
Yes, no, you're totally right. You can, you will take courses outside of the CGS program. There's space every semester while you're on BU's campus during the academic year to afford that. The specifics of that, again, are going to depend on the conversations you have with your academic advisor. But strictly speaking, anything that's available that you have the prerequisites for as a first, second year student would be available to you just as it would be for anybody else at BU.
Great, thanks, Matt. This one I'm going to pitch back to Stacy. Does BU help incoming students with internships work opportunities, et cetera, during the gap semester? That's a great advising question.
Yeah, it's a great question. And yes. So basically, and this, repetition is the law of learning. You're going to hear this a lot. You'll work with your advisor. We've got some tools on our website. Center for Career Development has tools on their website. A lot of times internships is a lot of cold calling or cold emailing and cold tagging on websites. But you need some scaffolding and structure, and that's what we work with you about. It's daunting when you've had your education planned all these years and then you suddenly have a blank canvas. And so what our students and the students here today can probably talk about it. Some students really looked forward to it. Many students thought it was daunting. And so one of the things is, what are the opportunities for me on this blank canvas? Internships is one of them. Volunteer work is another. Shadowing is another. So there are a lot of opportunities. And in fact, we'll have some workshops during orientation and in between orientation that will help you start to figure out how to curate a gap semester.
Thank you, Stacy. And this is a great student question, and I'm just going to ask all three students to address it. So is it difficult to assimilate into the dorms and social life when you join in January? So if we could just go, I'm going to just use alphabetical order. That always works. So by first name, Ailey, Dina, and then Jasmine. Thank you.
Great question. This is something that I was also worried about. Oh, I'm coming in January, like I'm not going to be able to make as many friends. That was not the case at all. I would actually argue that second semester people are actually even more excited. Everyone that I met was very eager to make friends. I didn't feel left out in any way. And also, you're with other freshmen, first year students, like everyone's still getting to know each other. So you will make friends. There's no need to worry about being left behind.
Great.
Yeah, just to second what Ailey said, I completely agree. I would suggest going to the Weeks of Welcome events and Splash, which is really great. It's the like club fair that BU has. So they have it in the fall semester, but also in January. So it's a great way to sign up for any clubs you might be interested in. And then the Weeks of Welcome events are a couple of different events, fun events on campus throughout the first couple weeks of the semester to kind of just meet new people, try some new different things. And that's a great way to make some new friends as well. But yeah, I definitely, at first I was a little uncertain about transitioning into college life in January, but it was a pretty seamless transition. And especially having the teams, the team program within CGS was a great way to meet friends that way as well.
I totally agree. I didn't have any problem at all, although it was a major concern I had. I went to Weeks of Welcome events. I did winter orientation, which was right before I started, which really helped me to meet new people and get familiar with Boston. Also, I realized very quickly that it's not like high school. It's not like cliques are formed in your classes already. Every semester, every class is like a new blank slate, and you make friends just by sitting next to someone and talking to them in class. So I really met a lot of friends in the College of Arts and Sciences in my elective classes, but also in CGS in that small team environment.
Great, thanks guys, great answers. And I'm gonna just lean into you in that same order and combine two questions and pitch them back at you. So there's two questions that I think, really you can really address better than us because you've been through it yourself. One, what did you do in your gap? And two, was there any obstacle in making that transition full-time into your major? So gap, and then transitioning into the major, and in that same order again, if you don't mind, Ailey, Dina, Jasmine, thank you.
So during my gap semester, I actually worked 2 jobs. One was from a summer job where I worked at an after-school program, teaching helping students like elementary students like do their homework. And then I also worked retail job, which I'm not going to do again, but it was okay. Like I saved up money, which was really great because I knew that I wanted to go to London, and that was great resume building. I didn't really work through high school. So I loved being able to have that time and that experience. And it was also very refreshing, like Dean McKnight mentioned. I was feeling a little burnt out from high school, so that gap semester was really great for me. And transitioning into the College of Communication where I am now was very seamless. I think the way that the CGS program is set up and having that elective, like I didn't feel left behind. I took Comm 101, with other fellow comm students as well. So very seamless. I didn't find any difficulty at all.
Great, thanks, Ailey. Dina?
Yeah, so during my gap semester, I kind of did a bunch of different things. So I did take one class. I ended up taking microeconomics at a local college. And I was able to talk to my advisor to figure out, because originally I was thinking maybe I'll do calculus, but then I learned that there's a CGS calculus class that I ended up taking in the spring. So I took microeconomics in the fall in the gap semester. And then I worked at Trader Joe's a little bit. I worked at a daycare one day a week, which was really fun. And then I volunteered a little bit at the Mass Audubon Society as well. And it was just a great experience, like to just kind of be able to like manage your own time during that gap semester, instead of just high school having everything laid out for you so clearly. And the transition like junior year into all my major classes was pretty seamless because I had already been taking classes and making friends in my major. So it was a pretty seamless transition.
Thanks, Dina. And Jasmine, how about you? Gap and transitioning into the major, how was it for you?
So for my gap semester, I was a nanny for a family. And so I took care of a little boy, which was a lot of fun. And I also worked at a daycare and I took Chem 101 at a local college, which you don't have to do that in your gap semester. It's not required, but it gave me kind of a jump start. I also just kind of took the time to get ready to move away from home. I had never been like even had a sleepover or anything like that. So I really needed that time to kind of get myself emotionally ready, and also connecting with my parents as a young adult was a very interesting experience and that I'm so grateful to have. And then transitioning into my major this past year and my junior year was pretty seamless because I had made friends in my elective classes. And like I was saying, I was on par with all the general requirements that people take for the biology major. And I actually was able to find a position in the lab I work in now, which was really great.
Awesome, great. You guys are wonderful and great responses. Thank you all. This is a good one for Dean Godnick. Is there pre-med advising in the CGS program?
It is a great question, since many of our students are pre-med. Yes, and we work very closely with the pre-med advising office. So there's a pre-health office at the college, in the College of Arts and Sciences for all students around the university who are pre-health, pre-dent, pre-vet, pre-med, PA, nursing, things like that. So we work very closely. The advising at Boston University is terrific. It's a network of advisors. Your ground zero advisor is your CGS advisor, who you'll have for 2 years. And we will also be networking you with other advisors, pre-health being one of them. So it is a very tight system that allows you to speak to a few people about your academic and professional aspirations. And pre-med is not a major. It's an aspiration. It's a post undergrad study. So it really is about making sure you have the prerequisites in all of the courses.
Great, thank you so much. So please clarify the gap semester. I think I'll just do this quickly. Are there classes in the gap? So the gap semester is the fall semester before students start here in January. And as you've heard from our students, you could take a course towards exploring a major like Chem 101, as Jasmine was indicating, or microeconomics, I think it was that Dina said. You could. You don't have to, but you could. And then you have kind of a leg up when you start, which is nice. Or you could work a job and save up money for London. Or you could do an internship, or you could do a shadowing opportunity or a service learning project. And some students somehow, it's like our students sometimes did many of the above. So they do this with advice, as Matt and Stacy have pointed out, from their advisor. So the advising starts after you put your paid deposit down in May. Advisors connect with you over the summer. They help you determine what to do with your gap semester. And then you just make it as rich or as light. I mean, some students might want to have a pretty light gap semester just to kind of recover from that senior year and feel really refreshed when they go into their first year of Boston University. So again, I really encourage you. I mean, the students here are just wonderful and they've had such a nice array of gap experiences, but we have a nice treasure trove of examples of what students have done on our website. So check those out. Really some amazing stories and some really inspiring stories too.
And now here's a one quick coda to that.
Yes.
So at Boston University, you will not take classes in the fall. So that gap semester, you won't, there's no housing. You're not matriculating until January. So you take courses in your local areas, and you work with your advisor to determine what's the best course and to ensure that the credits will transfer.
Yeah, good coda. Thank you. So here's another one for the students, and I knew there'd be a lot of student questions. So where does CGS students live? I'll just preface this by saying that CGS students go through the same kind of housing survey that all incoming BU students do. So housing asks for your top 5 choices, and they try to honor when you do your top 5 choices, they can live really anywhere on the BU campus, and we have many different residences. So let's just hear from you guys in that same alphabetical order, because it's what I can remember. Ailey, Dina, Jasmine, where'd you guys live in your first year?
Yeah, I lived in West Campus over in Ridge Hall. I just knew that I wanted to be in very close proximity to CGS since most of my classes were going to be there. So having it, be like a 10-minute walk or less was really great for me. There was also a dining hall right next to it, and it was a really great social scene to meet people. There was a lot going on in West, so I really enjoyed it.
Great. Yes.
Yes. I was also in West Campus. I was on 1019 Commonwealth Avenue, and I really liked it. And that building is suite style, so there was like 6 of us, and we had like a common room and a shared bathroom. And I also do running club on campus, so that it was really nice to like live in West Campus, because I was able to go to running club, and then often we'd like go to dinner, and then just I could walk right back to my dorm. And it was very convenient, and CGS wasn't a far walk at all.
Great. And Jasmine?
I lived on East Campus. I actually still live on East Campus in a brownstone, which is literally like a 10-minute walk away from Fenway. There's a huge Target over near Fenway. And I really like the atmosphere of like the brownstone, living on like a small street that Bay State is. That's a short walk away from the science buildings, but also the CGS building isn't that far away. And there's also the T that goes right down Com Ave if it's cold in the winter and you want to take that, or the BU bus.
Thank you. And John Mackey, Professor Mackey is faculty in residence, as he mentioned, in West Campus, which 2 of our students lived in. I lived there too as a faculty in residence. So John, you want to say a little bit about the faculty in residence program and just how it feels there in West Campus?
Sure, I'd be happy to. It's actually one of the really nice things that we do here at BU in residence life. And most of the major residences, or all of the major residences around campus, have faculty in residence who live there, do programming on a weekly basis. Right? So each faculty member holds what are called open hours, and each faculty member decides what that looks like, different types of meetings, activities with students. And then once per semester, we do a larger event. And it is really nice the way residence life takes into account, just to kind of echo what some of the students have said. Every January, residence life really gears up, knowing that a new group of CGS first years are coming in. So I've participated in some of those events through residence life. But it's a really nice way for faculty and students to interact outside of the classroom in an atmosphere that's usually a little more fun and a little more relaxed. And I think it really adds something to the residential experience.
Thanks, John. I really liked it too. I still have 2 students from the 90s when I lived back in the West Campus dorm who still write to me. They're twins. They're now in their 40s. And they still write to me all the time. That's the kind of relationship that whole faculty and residence program can build. So there's a question about residences in London. Where in, well, I guess it's not residence, where in London do students study? So we have our own campus in South Kensington, London, which is just a beautiful area of London. Check it out on the map, check out pictures. It's where a lot of the embassies are. It's close to the parks, many of the museums. It's close to Hyde Park, Kensington Park, Victoria and Albert Museum, Natural History Museum. All that's kind of like embedded in our campus. So we have a main administrative building right there and on Harrington Gardens in South Kensington. And then we've got 4 different dorm buildings within a few blocks of that administrative building that students live in. So now, let me pitch that to the students who did. So Dina, you went to London.
Yes.
You want to say a little bit about how it was there?
Yeah, it was an amazing experience. I lived in the Sorbonne, which I believe was right near the Museum of Natural History, I believe, like right across the street. And my classes were in actually in a hotel, like I forget what the name of the hotel was, but like we had conference rooms that we had some classes in, which was really cool. So I had my humanities and my rhetoric classes in there. And then my social science class was in the Crofton, which is one of the bigger residence halls. And that residence has a classroom. So I had one of my classes in there. And then sometimes there would be office hours at the main building where there's like a little library and you can print over there too. Yeah.
Great, thank you. I'm just going to move to other questions because we've got some more pouring in here and I want to try to get to all of them. So students, can you just share why you chose CGS and BU?
I chose BU because I'm from New York City. So I knew that I didn't want to stay at home. I knew that I wanted to move to another city that, wasn't too far. I also didn't think my parents were going to let me go somewhere far, and behold, here comes the London program and they let me go abroad. But it was a very unique program that no other university offered. I was also in the boat of students that had no clue what they wanted to study. So having this general study program was very appealing to me. And I'm just speaking to people, I want to say the people here at BU are amazing when it comes to the faculty, the staff, the students, everyone. And I really connected with them. So very happy here.
Yeah, I liked the opportunity to study abroad the first year, which was really nice. And also just the team program and having professors and not having teaching assistants, because a lot of the other classes, like in the College of Arts and Sciences, it might be a big lecture and then the discussions are led by a teaching assistant. But in CGS, you really can connect with the professor. And for me, it was a really wonderful transition from high school to the bigger classes in College of Arts and Sciences, for example, CAS. And yeah, I just really enjoyed my time at CGS and I'm so glad that I was in it.
I chose BU specifically because it's a large research institution and I knew that that's what I wanted to do for a career. So I really wanted an undergraduate program that had a lot of research funding and opportunities. I specifically chose CGS though, because I was overwhelmed by a huge university that comes with those benefits. So I wanted the small community that the CGS program has. And I knew that I wanted to do biology. So I was really excited that the biology program actually has the chance to specialize in different aspects of biology. And I really was excited also to go to London, but unfortunately, because of the pandemic, I didn't make it there, but I will eventually.
Thank you. And sorry about that. You'll get there. So real nuts and bolts question. Do you recommend the summer orientation or the winter orientation? I think either, just do one. I think do one, but students, did you do summer or winter? Do you have a recommendation?
I personally did the summer one just because I was super excited. Either one is great, but for the summer, I know that a lot of people connected through Facebook and, meeting early on, you're able to talk about the entire gap semester as well, which I've met a lot of my friends that way. So I did the summer, but both are great.
Yeah, I also did the summer and it was a great way to just kind of get on campus, get a taste, get excited for what was to come. But yeah, I know people that went to orientation as well because you kind of met people and then went right into classes. So whatever people prefer.
How about you, Jasmine?
I actually did the winter orientation. I don't think it makes a huge difference. Both of the programs are really the same, but I liked the winter orientation because you got to move in. I think it was 3 days earlier and kind of that's an early start before classes to kind of get yourself situated. And also your parents can attend orientation. So my parents were here, which was really comforting to have them there after move-in.
I'd just like to add one little piece to the orientation piece. As Jasmine said, the content is the same. It's just the weather is different, and you're moving right into your residence hall in the wintertime. In January, the beginning of the spring semester. I think the other thing to understand is regardless of whether you do summer or winter, we have programming for students that virtual online that content is super helpful. You can speak with current students about how they transitioned. You can speak to students about how they curated their gap semester. So it's really important, like Dean McKnight said, once you make the commitment to BU, we'll start the outreach end of May, and there'll be content throughout the summer and throughout the gap semester. We're going to have some stuff on budgeting, for example.
Budgeting's good. That's helpful. Yeah. So, and just to add on to that, if you're coming from a distance, like internationally or like California, for instance, winter might be preferable for you simply because of that ability to come, do orientation, then move right in, instead of like if you do in the summer, you come, you do orientation, then you leave, then you come back. So it could save you a flight. So that's something to consider. Other than that, as Dean Godnick said, it's really the same content, and you get to meet people and start the friendships and things like that. So I know Dean Godnick would like to answer this one. Does anyone have trouble entering their school of their major after CGS? So Dean Godnick.
Yeah, and I think Matt can chime in here too. I think the thing to understand here, and this is a big difference between BU and other universities. In fact, my stepdaughter is at a university where she has to apply to get into the business school. She's in liberal arts and has to apply and is not guaranteed. Whereas at Boston University, you start at the College of General Studies and you automatically, it's not a reapplication process, go into the junior year. And what that means for each school and college is different. So for example, in the professional schools, there are some gateway courses that you have to take. You're guaranteed spots in them. So we'll never tell you, oops, sorry, you can't take this course and you're behind. And there's a minimum grade in these courses, and then you just seamlessly go right into the junior year. So it's not a reapplication process. I'm sure I'm missing a couple things, Matt, that you might want to add here.
Yeah, I think it is important to highlight that it is a guaranteed continuation and not a transfer. I know it seems like it's being nitpicky with words, but it's a very important distinction here. The guarantee of continuation means if you accept your offer to come to BU for the College of General Studies program, then working with your academic advisor, you make sure that you are on track in terms of any course fulfillment, like Dean Gondik mentioned. The baseline requirements to continue to the new school after CGS are really just good academic standing. You have to be in good academic standing, complete our 10 course requirement. Again, that requirement will depend on the student's major as well. So once again, I'll give a shameless plug for academic advising. We are a crucial part of that conversation to really help you form a plan that makes sense. But in terms of trouble entering the school after CGS, there's really not. We like to use this analogy. It's never happened before, but if we had the entire incoming class say, I really want to go to the College of Communication after the 2 years, College of Communication is going to have to make room for all of our students. It is a guarantee of continuation. You're not competing for spots. It is yours so long as you meet these requirements.
Great answers. This one I'm going to pitch to Professor Mackey. What's the difference academically if you go on to London versus if you stay in New England in that first year here at CGS?
Yeah, that's a good question. The courses that you would take in either case would be the same courses roughly. They cover the same ground, have the same course number and credits and so on. The difference would be that the courses in London will be the experiential component will be very much geared toward the United Kingdom and London, and the experiential component in the Boston New England program will of course be geared toward Boston and the greater New England area. So the teams of faculty will design outings and experiences out in the community, out in the cities and out in the country in either place. And so that would be the major difference. But overall, in terms of the real nuts and bolts of what you're getting, it's very similar.
Thank you, John. And this is a good one for Elise Fisher. I was wondering if scholarships and aid apply for the summer semester in London.
Yeah, that's a great question and definitely something worth considering before you're making your decision. I do believe so. Your MyBU portal will map all of that information out for you. It does have tuition, scholarships, financial aid split up per semester. And that page will look, it will be specific to your CGS option. So it will cover that summer information for you as well. If you ever have any questions though, you're welcome to reach out to us in admissions or the financial aid office directly as well.
Yes, and yeah, so financial aid absolutely applies to students who are studying in London. It's just part of their first year here, and they get financial aid at the same rate as students starting elsewhere at BU. It's just the timing is a little bit different in terms of when the 2 semesters fall, but otherwise that's the only difference. Okay, so so this is a good one for students in terms of housing. Do you live with others that are not part of CGS? Yes, and are or CGS students only. Now, so you're mixed in, but maybe again the students can reflect on that. And I'm just going to see the second part here. If CGS has its own housing, is it still easy to integrate into the rest of the campus, or is CGS more isolated? So I'm just going to say real quick. Students can reflect on the experience of it, but CGS does have its own CGS house on Bay State Road, which it sounds like that's where Jasmine's live. Beautiful, one of the most beautiful streets in all of America, I think. And it's a beautiful house, but it only fits about, I think, maybe 30 people tops. So most of our students are embedded in the other dorms that have students who are not CGS students too. So they're very integrated, but students, could you just reflect on how the experience was on the ground? Did it feel like you were, and maybe let's do one because we got 1 minute left. So I'm going to go with, let's start with Ailey. Did you feel like you were getting a chance to meet other students from other colleges?
Yes, definitely. I personally did have a roommate freshman year that was also in CGS, but moving forward, you don't only live with CGS students, you live with students across the entire university.
Great. And I think we're going to have to wrap it up because we're at the hour and we might get cut off from our Zoom webinar. But thank you for joining us, and panelists, thank you. You're just wonderful at answering these questions. Audience, fantastic questions. This is going to be recorded. It'll be on our website, so you can watch it again. You could binge watch our our webinar. I doubt you want to, but you might want to. And thank you again for joining us. And once again, congratulations. Take care. Be well.